Hello and welcome to episode 24. We've taken a 2 week pause before this episode, and I don't think there would have been a better person to restart the series than Devendra, who's got a very interesting background. And so, to everyone out there, welcome back. We are back. We've got two more episodes left before the end of the year. So, Devendra, welcome to the Money Talks.
Thank you so much, Anirudh. Looking forward, to this exciting chat. Thank you for
Your,
inviting me. Yeah.
yours was a journey where we had to cut entire pages out because this is just going to go for too long, right? Because it's such an interesting journey that you have, and now that you're doing Kredily and actually are making a massive impact already, one of the largest HRMS platforms out there, and you've just gotten started. But let's before we get there, I think we'll get there over there. But wanted to talk to you a little bit about the journey you've had so far. So Devendra,
Go for it.
you started your journey. You did your BTech from IIT Kanpur, right? I mean, IIT Kanpur back then, and even now, is a prestigious institute. And after that, you did your IIM. So you did the IIT IIM combo, as they call it. So what was it a conscious decision? Was that your first choice to go to IIT Kanpur when you finished your?
Yeah. So no, actually, I wanted to work in the core branches actually. So like computer science or maybe electrical engineering because this is like the two branches were there. So that time, Kanpur was like one of the topmost. Like that time, it was number one, number two actually. That time, like 2000, I'm talking about 2001 actually. So so ID Bombay and Kanpur were the choices actually. So like eventually, I kind of Kanpur actually worked out for me. So I am from Madhya Pradesh, Ujjain. So it's like Bombay and Kanpur were almost like equidistant for me. So I thought like
Right.
perhaps yeah, I can go ahead with Kanpur.
And what was the experience like? I mean, IIT Kanpur is a gorgeous campus. I've been there. I've stayed there a couple of times.
Yeah.
Amazing. Just like a whole different world.
Yeah. So no, I remember actually still like obviously the season starts from like kind of in the just in the monsoon time like July and all right. So I was going there and but like just right after the Kanpur station Kanpur station is like pretty big actually because it's a old city right.
Hmm.
So but then after that obviously I was like quite disappointed actually when I went to the Kanpur because it's Kanpur is like obviously old industrialized city so like slowly the giving away to the kind of a lot of I mean little bit of poverty is there in the city and all but once you like so for like seven is like about 17 kilometers away from IIT campus 17 kilometers away from the campus from the station
I
but
see.
once you go to campus it's a different story altogether like you just got stunned oh my god what is this campus and then I was like oh my god thank god I chose Kanpur IIT Kanpur.
Yeah. Amazing. I mean, IIT Kanpur, Ramakant is from IIT Kanpur. It's on IC. And I've met so many more very interesting people who actually swear by IIT Kanpur. I think after IIT Bombay, IIT Kanpur seems to have this whole cult of its own. The people, graduate from there have like a strong affiliation with the university.
No, absolutely. I mean, very strong alumni network actually we have, and obviously Ramakant and Mohit Tandon from IT Kanpur. This is like some other few
Yep.
like startup guys coming out, and a lot of like startup guys are very early on kind of like started from IT Kanpur, and then obviously other ITs also came in. But like IT Kanpur has been like very kind of very close knit affiliation is there among the alumni, and. Yeah, so obviously it shows up whenever obviously
Do VCs sponsor IIT Kanpur dinners or something because they know that there's going to be some unicorn idea coming out of it.
you would be amazed to see probably like all the top VC funds like most of the VC funds are from IIT Kanpur guys as well. You will find some IIT Kanpur guys in the VC funds as well. So the IIT Kanpur VCs and the kind of founders that kind of very goes together quite
You
well.
might have a pitch event while you're at it, right? You've got the VCs and you've got the founders, everything just happening over there.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's
And
quite
and then then obviously you went ahead and did your MBA from IIM Lucknow. What was what was there a particular role? What were you preparing yourself for?
So no, actually, I also like after IIT actually I'm actually electrical engineering by training. So I wanted to actually work in the core department. So I actually end up joining a kind of electrical engineering company, NTPC there.
Okay.
Actually wanted to work there for a while because because I have worked for 4 years of engineering like there in electrical. So I wanted to work in the core department for some time. But actually, after joining NTPC, I thought probably like it will better if I get into the management level to be able to make an impact, because it's like a very hierarchy driven organization.
Right.
So you really need to be somewhere to be able to start to able to make an impact. So then I thought like probably MBA is a good choice. So then like eventually like I am Lucknow happened. So yeah, Kanpur and Lucknow close by. So so it was like kind of good.
You're just staying very close in in that area.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
after you got out, you joined Axis Bank. Were you recruited right out of college?
Yes, yes, yes. So after IIT, actually, I wanted to get into like into banking sector. So Axis Bank kind of like was my campus placement. So joined in the kind of corporate banking team of Axis Bank. You could say.
And what was the role you were doing at Axis?
So Axis actually like Axis, there are kind of two major stints I had actually. One was a kind of SME lending is what I was doing actually in the first stint there. So SME lending, and also interestingly, when I joined 2008 is the time when obviously the Lehman
Oh
crisis
wow.
happened. So that was a really amazing experience for me. Like kind of like the companies are shutting down, and still you have to kind of maintain a kind of healthy portfolio. So for me, like it was a very kind of like it's a trial by fire. So you were put in the role, and then suddenly like the world is collapsing around you. So that was a like kind of very interesting learning for me, and also kind of helped me in obviously shaping to like what I'm doing currently in Kredily as well, and work give me an opportunity to work very closely with the kind of entrepreneurs of this SMEs and all. And so that was the first stint. Then second stint, which I kind of like was a more of a kind of dream role kind of for me, for because I'm an electrical engineering, and then obviously the power sector. So I did a kind of major work in the power sector finance actually. So like very small team of Axis Bank that like we were doing very like thousands of crores of project finance actually in India. So that and then also end up like also doing this kind of renewable energy, which was like kind of my focus area. So like one of the first solar projects actually in India, kind of I was part of the financing team there.
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah. So right from
That,
the pricing was when it was 17.91 rupees per unit to it,
correct.
like now it is
Yeah.
come down to 2 rupees. So that's I have seen like that the journey. So it was really amazing journey to see that.
Do you still stay connected to the renewable energy ecosystem? I
I,
mean,
I do follow that. I do follow that. But yeah, so I've been there in the sector for about 10 years. So very close to my heart.
good.
But
We've got a lot in common because I've been in the power sector, renewable energy now, but I've been in the power sector around the same 2005, and then 2009 turned entrepreneur in that sector. So yeah, very. I think we'll have a good conversation there. But then you
yeah,
switch gears, and you joined. I mean, what I think was a pioneer in venture capital in India at that time. You joined GVFL, right?
yeah,
Gujarat Venture Finance Limited.
yeah.
And I mean, but you went from a private sector bank to a government sector venture capital fund. Very odd to say that the government would have a venture capital fund, but it did, and it's a very good fund, in fact. So I want to understand, like, what was the reason, to move from an Axis to
Sure.
GVF?
So like primary reason was like if you see I wanted to work very closely with the entrepreneurs from the like when the what is the opportunity I got in the banking side, but like the bankers are the last person to know if something going wrong with the company. So you only when the NPAs happen and when they're not repaying. So like by nature of this business, like you still have some kind of distance with the entrepreneurs. So I want to work very closely with the kind of entrepreneurs and the founders. So VC is obviously a very good opportunity there actually, like where you can uh, like kind of get into that kind of space where you will be very closely working with the kind of founders. And so there actually, so GVFL was starting a new fund, and that focus was into kind of energy like an infrastructure kind of
Mm.
space. So that obviously excited me very much because that was the kind of like thing which I was doing. So the first half of like my journey at like GVFL, actually we were actually doing the same thing. Like we were investing into kind of renewable energy projects like solar and wind and all. So that is what I did actually first year. So that's how kind of like probably the switch happens. So it was quite smooth that way for me. And also GVFL, without this being like kind of it's a kind of like so that time when I joined, like it was still majority is still a private owned company. So
Mm.
government has a stake there, but obviously it's a kind of very professionally managed. And also like it's founded by one of the like IIT Kanpur alumnus long time back actually.
Acha.
So it's been a professionally managed organization for a, yeah. I mean, still obviously it is, but yeah. So that hasn't been a good journey for me.
Any companies you invested out of there that you remember, like
Yeah, so SciTech RE actually is the company portfolio company which have invested. So like we made investment about $8 million in the company, And that actually company eventually went out to raise about $200 million from a global
Oh
utility
wow.
player. Yeah.
And and
So
and
that was
and,
kind
and
of
what
like
was the
that actually kind of multiplied.
I thought when that happened, did you feel like, man, I could do this, right? Like, if I this guy, I gave him
Yeah, yeah.
8 million. Now he's going, yeah.
No, absolutely.
And,
Absolutely. There, yeah. So when you work with a founder, like you figure out like a lot of things you can do. Like they are very similar people, like very similar to you as well. Like there's not much of a difference. Obviously, they're taking the risk actually, and obviously, but like from the other side, you see like probably like this is not like should not be so difficult because like probably I'm discussing, I'm sitting the board with them, like talking to the business and all, like lots of you get a lot of like closer involvement in that thing. So probably just like probably that moment of biting the bullet and then you turn to become an entrepreneur.
and
So that's
so you were
how.
looking after fintech and the small finance back, tech, logistics. What were the areas you were looking at?
Yeah, so initially like we built a portfolio where we could have a kind of yield kind of giving kind of company. So basically it's more of a kind of structured equities which we did in the first 3 years of that, like this stay there.
Acha,
And
acha.
then yeah, then we move on to like to take a little bit more risk and then like start investing into kind of more of a kind of fintech kind of companies and like more of a kind of impact kind of play there. So
I
there
see.
obviously, yeah, so there I had an opportunity to like write maybe I would say like the term sheets, not the kind of eventually the investments in like pretty interesting companies like Lending Card, Eco General Insurance, and
Oh
you know
wow.
small finance bank like FinCare. But like as you said, like this is one of your shows, like you said, NT portfolio. So probably my NT portfolio is much bigger than the kind of real portfolio. So, so that is
And from there, you, I mean, from GVFL, you went over to Traction after that.
yeah. So Abhishek, the founder, is my senior from IIT Kanpur. So and also the team
Acha.
is there. So they were starting trying to do something very similar to kind of this AngelList Syndicate that time.
Hmm.
So AngelList Syndicate, like so basically like create a pool of like because obviously Traction is a kind of very strong research team, and so like so what actually happens in the angel investing, because somebody will approach an angel investor, and angel investor will see okay everything's good and probably write a check, but probably they might not have a kind of research time rather like to be able probably there might be maybe 2 3 better companies out there in the same domain, right?
Sure.
So that is kind of like probably advantage which we had in Traction because we could give a kind of pool of good companies and then probably invite angels to kind of lead the syndicates. So something similar to what like Angelus Syndicate is doing. But unfortunately, the time when I joined again, the VC investment is like kind of like drying up. So
Hmm.
I really thought, I didn't see that that impact would be so also pronounced in the angel investing as well. So this is 2016, if you remember, the kind of like
Yeah.
we had a slump in VC investing. So even
Right,
angel,
right
even
around
angel,
that, housing went down. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. So even angel investing also went down drastically. So
Correct.
then like we were doing very few deals. But actually, obviously, like whatever you do, like there is always some great learnings actually. So eventually, probably I'll come to the story of Kredily. Probably this is kind of too critical journey. Probably.
I think the story is very interesting. You start with a very established public sector, I mean, private sector bank into a quasi government, but pretty much new venture capital fund, and then a startup, and then your own startup. So I think you were pretty much meandering your way there. You had to get all this experience before you got there.
No, absolutely. So because like if you see like also in terms of the kind of ticket size also if you see like
Hmm.
the first I was actually writing kind of doing project finance of 5,000 10,000 crores of projects like
Correct.
the power projects are quite big, right? And
Yeah.
then into like small went to little smaller ticket like maybe like 200 300 crores kind of like renewable energy projects, and then the
Correct.
equity size of it like from 200 crores to like 40 crores of like equity investing about 8 million or so. Then to Traction labs actually where the ticket size was actually quite smaller, like about sub crores kind of ticket size, and
Correct.
then
Correct.
from zero you're starting up.
Yeah. But traction is become like the de facto standard, I think, for the VC community in India. I think it's become one of the most brilliant products. Uh,
Absolutely. Like, hats off to Abhishek and Neha to creating such an amazing platform out of India. So
yeah,
yeah, another probably.
absolutely. It just seems to be like it is so well thought out, and they're so close to the VC community. I mean, it's very impressive, very impressive. I mean, it's amazing you have that on your CV as well. and I didn't know that actually before before we had met. But that's a very interesting experience you've had. But in terms of like before we
Absolutely.
get into Kredily, like, were you always thinking about becoming an entrepreneur? Like, what was the it was about 7-8 years after you started at Axis that you became an
No, no, never actually. I never thought like I thought probably like I will just probably join from one VC fund to another VC fund and probably like that's the limited thing I thought like because VC is obviously a good profession to be in, right? You still
entrepreneur.
like probably have a I mean that's like I mean probably if I was obviously again not been an entrepreneur I would again be a VC. So that's the kind of like
Mm.
probably like one of the best probably kind of like impactful role in at least in my view in terms of like startup ecosystem. But actually, like so my startup, like kind of like the Kida, as you can call it, was thought from a very interesting kind of like concept actually. So this concept, like I probably I don't never discussed it before, but the concept was very different. Uh, so like when I was doing this first of this like this insurtech investment like eco
Mm.
journalism and also then I was obviously evaluating global companies what people are doing. So I found this P2P insurance actually very exciting. P2P
Acha.
insurance like a laminate kind of model actually where like you have a
Mm.
small pool of people and like you will so because obviously people all in insurance people say like hey like premium to de diya like and eventually like I'm not going to use it so basically it's a waste, right? So that's how people treat it. So like because I have paid like even also LIC or all the insurance works like this. But the P2P insurance obviously like the kind of like if if you're doing well actually if you're like remaining healthy or let's say if you're not probably doing any accidents or not taking claims on motor and all, so your premium almost goes down to negligible, right? Basically, so virtually you
Okay.
don't. So that's the kind of concept of P2P insurance. But so I thought like I will do something similar, something like this in India, and I was like very pumped about this. So whenever I should think about this idea, I used to like probably just sit from up from the chair. I want to do it right now. So that's how pumped up I used to be. But then so I like that's kind of kicked me out. Like probably like entrepreneurship business something to create is something is like probably is the way
Sure.
to go because I will probably get more excitement in doing something, creating something from scratch rather than probably funding somebody's idea. That is also a great job. I'm not like nothing wrong about that, but probably creating something out of scratch probably give you more excitement. So that's how kind of the journey sort of like the probably mindset rather changed from that concept.
So
Yeah.
when did you decide that this is the time I'm going to move over and I'm going to become a founder? What was the trigger?
Yeah. So Traction Labs actually I would say was a trigger. So when I was doing Traction Labs, and then this we had this investment that time in Traction in Darwin Box.
Yeah.
uh, Darwin Box HRMS company. So basically, they were kind of raising a round, and like kind of we had the capability to kind of help them out with our market sizing and all. So like the team did a market sizing, and like kind of the data which came in, like it was actually quite shocking to me actually, because
Acha.
like you would expect like any like from a just a simple research perspective, like anybody in the market leader, any a market leader in any industry would at least have 5 to 10% market share. It's like
Correct.
given. But if you see in this HRMS industry, like with obviously this data came to me, like that like you have one side you have like enterprise HRMS companies where you have companies like People Strong, SAP Success Factors, and then Xcelity and bunch of others, and also Darwin Box. The biggest one, People Strong, has only about 7 lakh employees on the platform. That's all.
7 lakh. Oh wow.
7 lakh. That's all. And similarly, in the enterprise HRMS, SME HRMS companies, you have a couple of old companies like Great HR and Zinc HR. They have only about like 7 to 10 lakh employees on the platform. And put together, they are not serving to more than 50 to 60 lakh employees in India.
This is about 2007, 2017.
2016 early, late 2016 I discovered actually this is
Okay.
what something like probably and then like I thought like this is a very really amazing opportunity out there actually, like why nobody's solving it, because then obviously then the kind of digging happens to be why people are not like not adopting the software or what are the kind of issues.
Mhm.
Then obviously the journey came like how to should start Kredily and all. So there also like when I try to understand that the two big pain points actually kind of discovered. One, most of the companies actually still following the kind of HR, approaching this HRMS sector more of from a service background. So basically, for example, you need HRMS, so let me create something for you, customized for you.
Very
Somebody else need
customizable. Yeah,
HRMS, so let me
example.
customize something for them. So that way, like kind of like yes, yes. So customizable actually is the antithesis of like kind of product approach, like DIY-ness, right? So and of course only the product scales, but not the service sectors.
So
Like
true.
obviously very difficult to scale.
Customization is the antithesis of product growth. I think it's also the antithesis of scaling, right? Because if your product just gets too customized, you can't scale that kind of a process very easily.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that was a kind of one like I saw like everybody was doing the same thing. Like everybody has following the same approach. And second approach, what I see like all the HRMS company in India actually they were following a kind of subscription based strategy that like hey, you have like kind of 10 employees or 50 employees, I will charge
Yeah.
50 rupees per employee per month. That's all. That was the only business model existed. But India doesn't want to pay for a software. India is not a paying country. Like for example, just we see like how many paid apps we have in our mobile phone, right? So same applies to like kind of larger segment out there. So people don't want to pay for software, and so more so also like we saw like then I try to understand like is there any company which kind of like created a kind of scale in this SMB space. So actually the answer came in from Tele Solutions. So Tele Solutions like accounting software company
Yeah. True.
which is everywhere. Everybody uses this company. But you'll be surprised, like obviously it's an open secret. Like hardly 10% of the user actually are paying customers of
Paid.
Tele. 90% customers are like just like using pirated version or like the free version
Yeah,
of.
and even then, it's a massive business. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, but this is a classical freemium model globally,
Yeah.
right? There, you only 5 to 10% people will be using the paid version, and rest will be free.
True.
So this was actually for me the eureka moment was there. Ki, hey, so probably this is what I need to do. Let's create a kind of HRM payroll software for India, make it like kind of DIY, and offer it for free. So we have a freemium
Got it.
model. So that's how kind of the birth of Kredily happened actually. So this is what we did at
Wow.
Kredily.
And like, how did you meet your co-founders? Like, did you meet them after you had already left Traction, or was it already at Traction that you met your co-founders?
So Avinash actually like I and Avinash, obviously you've seen the first photo itself, like we have a client in college together for about 4 years. So like obviously we like close group, we've been in touch. So basically I started the journey alone, but then Avinash joined me a little later during the journey. So that's how it happened. So like kind of he pitched the idea. He was also doing something he had experience of like after IT. He also did his like he was a kind of founding team member of HealthCart and had digital marketing over there. Then also he headed this like digital marketing at Zivame. So he did a bunch of like digital marketing stuff and all. Then he was also kind of associated with WorkX. He was a founding team member of WorkX, where he was like kind of also like kind of into HR tech. So HR tech excited him actually. And then eventually, like kind of the product approach is what kind of I pulled him. Ki, hey, bro, let's do together. So that's how it happened.
Let's go to Kredily. So what does Kredily do?
So Kredily, we are we are a HR and payroll management company at the core. So basically, we solve the utility problems of like where the SMBs and the enterprise have to manage, you know, uh, uh, to use Kredily for managing their attendance, their leave, their payroll aspect of it, and the compliances. So the core HR as we call core HR and payroll is what we do. So
Okay.
first, companies actually use us, and and then once the company user, then the employees use us. So once the employee user, then we get a very large base of customer base, and then we eventually sell financial products to them. So basically, it's a
Got it.
HR plus fintech startup, as you can put it together.
So for people that would not know what HRMS stands for, it would be Human Resources Management System that would
Yes,
manage everything from onboarding an employee, getting their salaries, salary structures imported into the system, to calculating leaves, to taking attendance, to making sure they have the right paycheck, and in many ways also giving them the required forms at the end of the year for TDS being paid and
sure,
the PT
sure.
getting paid, all that stuff.
Sure, sure. So let me also just take a step back and like explain a little bit more about how this industry function and how we are trying to solve it. So first, like for example, in a normal company, let's say for a payroll management, like you eventually need to pay the salaries to employees. So the first input is your attendance. So in your attendance, like most companies actually use pen or paper or maybe simple register or your biometric devices. Eventually, that data has to come to your like somebody in towards the month end like has to reconcile the data. Hey, what is the kind of data?
Yeah.
How many have been absent, right? So now let's say like out of so one person is like absent for 3 days. Now what is the next
Hmm.
challenge? What, did this guy apply for a leave or not?
Correct.
So then you need
Correct.
to check some other system, basically, like and more often than not, like probably somebody would have WhatsApp kiya, no, I am on leave on this day, I cannot come, probably, or maybe email somebody would have done. But then, like towards the month end, the HR or probably the founder has to probably ask the manager, hey, ye 3 दिन किसका छुट्टी है, so did he apply for a leave?
Correct.
So then the manager will check, yeah, he applied for a leave and all. And if he didn't apply for a leave, then what happens? Then probably like, like let's say out of one leave he applied and he doesn't have a kind of leave balance. So probably he will get a loss of pay, right?
Correct.
So then eventually his payroll will get affected. So these two systems that currently are there and they don't talk to each other. And then enters the third system, which is the payroll system, which is completely Excel driven. So all this data from one system to a second system to leave and eventually to come to payroll, it has to come together. So at Kredily, we're putting all these three things together so that eventually, like kind of right from attendance management to leave management to your payroll processing, how much of calculation is done, kitna basic hai, kitna HR hai, and eventually the net pay is there. And then eventually, like we go further step, like more steps on that, like what is the kind of salary processing, and then eventually make the salary payout as well. So we are actually the only HRMS company in India which is a payment gateway kind of system where we can do salary
Wow.
payout for the employees. So yeah, so this is a kind of in nutshell what we do. Sorry.
So,
Yeah.
Dave, in that sense, could you explain like the amount of, because you're synchronizing so many different systems and many companies which have 20, 30 employees, this can take an entire person's job at the end of the month, right? So, have you ever quantified how much money do you actually save a business by using your system?
So typically, like if a founder, like in terms of the money saved, like that probably we have not calculated. But I think in terms of the hour, we at least save two days of work of a founder, like
Of a
by
founder?
doing
Wow.
in a month, 2 days. So
Two
because
days.
like yeah, so because
Man,
here
for founders
everything.
out there, if you're wondering where your vacation's going, right? The 2 days of vacation. That well, I guess you're out there doing payroll.
So yeah, see, like probably most of the founders here, if you are there in the show, like, probably they would resonate with this thought, like on a month end, yeah, you should be focusing on your sales. Like, hey, kitna, like what is the sales number we are going to achieve, right? But the founder actually end up focusing on the payroll, because if you delay the payroll, delaying payroll is a big no, right? It's a because delaying payroll gives a wrong signal to the employees ki probably salary, the company doesn't have money and all, right? So it's
Mhm.
a strict, right? So you have to make the payroll on time. While the sales team is chasing the target, you have to chase them. Hey, apply your attendance, regularize your attendance, apply your leave, right? And this is the job you're doing as a founder, because in a small companies you don't have a kind of HR person, and
True.
if a
Too
larger company,
expensive. Yeah.
yeah, if the HR is there, the HR will do the same thing. Like they will also do the chasing job with all the employees, and eventually the payment has to be done by the founders. Even in the 100 employees kind of companies, the authority still remains with the founder. The founder has to send the Excel sheet to probably the bank to be able to kind of like make the
True.
salary payout, right? So this is again a pain point, right? So founders should not be doing that. They should be focusing on their core job, and we will do the HR for them. So that.
And I mean, 2 days in a founder's life, if a founder's even earning something like 2 lakh rupees a month, right, as a salary, 25 working days, you're talking about 16,000 rupees saved every single month. If I just take it pure brass tacks, just salary, founders are worth way more than that. So
Absolutely.
you're
Yeah.
basically plus you have to pay for the HRMS itself. So it typically costs about 5,000-6,000. So you're saving 20,000 rupees, and you're doing it for free.
Yeah,
Don't
absolutely.
have
So we have a freemium model. So obviously, but the base version remains free for unlimited number of employees. And
So
then
is your
obviously,
how does your base version compare to the other guys that are charging for
in
the
fact,
service?
in fact, in fact, our base version actually. So one of the, like couple of the competitors actually. So they have like tiered version, base, 1, 2, 3 version, 4 version rather. Most of the competitors have 4 kind of options. So our free version is actually equivalent to the third best product of the competitors actually.
Oh wow! And how are you
Yeah.
able to offer it for free? Everyone else is charging. You're saying I'm going to do it for free.
Because you see the opportunity, we feel the opportunity is quite big, because by charging the subscription, nobody is scaled up. Like the largest HRMS company in India has only 9,000 SMBs on the platform. Like only 9,000
Wow.
SMBs. Like this is the number. Like it pains, right? Because India deserves to have a much better HRMS. Like probably they are more better accounting software company, they're better accounting, and probably GST is also probably solved by a lot of companies as well. Tax filing has been solved, but HRM nobody is solved. So we are here to solve this problem. So that like no
And do you need a physical infrastructure as well, like for attendance and all that? How does that work?
No, it's completely cloud based. So we for attendance actually we have like kind of the mobile app actually where people can apply for attendance. And obviously in attendance we have lot many features like selfie attendance. We have geo tracking, and we have a like kind of IP restrictions. So a lot of features where so like it completely kind of kind of takes away like the requirement of a biometric machine. Why do you use biometric machine? Basically, that somebody, the physical like a person has to be there, but then we have a selfie attendance and the location tracking, right? So only the person, if the person is there in the local geography, probably somebody sitting off your kind of office, uh, only then they can apply for that mark the attendance. Otherwise they cannot. So there is no
Wow.
need. Yeah.
I didn't know there was something known as a selfie attendance. It's pretty interesting.
So I came to your office. You have a kind of biometric machine. Probably you should definitely use Kredily, and I'm sure like your team has already kind of signed up and they're trying it now. So I think you will not need a biometric machine anymore.
I would be so glad to get rid of that thing. I'm telling you that is anyways that is a harbinger of spreading disease in the office. Everyone goes and touches it multiple times.
Absolutely. More so now actually. This is what actually also happened in Kredily now, because like
In fact, Mr. Sunil Kumar Singhvi, he's asked that question, that how has the pandemic benefited Kredily?
so this is actually yeah. Yes. So Sunil ji ka question. So like this is absolutely. I would just like comment to that. Like this is earlier the companies were still resistant. Like biometric machines have been using for so many like years and all. Like suddenly you cannot touch a biometric machine, right? So like and then but still you need to have an attendance, right? So then obviously like people, the companies who are very reluctant to use our attendance management system earlier, now they started using the attendance management system. So it has been a much positive impact for us. So like SaaS and especially the people management HR tech is like is booming. So we were scaling up like in the last pandemic. Obviously one of the very rare businesses who have kind of got positively impacted by COVID. So fortunately for us it is working out well. Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I think you're the second company or third company where I'm investing, which is taking a physical infrastructure and putting it on the cloud. One was XXiv, also from Bangalore, and the other one is you.
Yeah.
And I see amazing prospects, because it literally is, I think, destroying the requirement for physical infrastructure, right? Because and especially in a world now, like today, where we're not even meeting each other, right? So
Absolutely.
how does Kredily help over there?
Yeah, so basically, like like obviously the world is obviously realizing it more and more, because you probably just you don't need even a physical office. Like later side, like your probably the phone and all, right? You don't need even an office. So if you don't need even an office, like probably you don't need a kind of a computers, where you will be installing a software like kind of desktop device. So all the things are going away. So Excel obviously like kind of we also use Excel, so basically a pretty good company. so so like so the infrastructure, like now there's a wave. Obviously the kind of much better adoption is happening. People are understanding they don't need to have a kind of desktop based device where they need to kind of store all the data, because another problem actually happened, like just immediately after the pandemic, right? People wanted to process salary, and they don't have the data because they cannot go to their office, and the data is sitting in their kind of one computer in the office. They cannot access it. So people suddenly realize, hey, why I'm keeping a physical, like this kind of thing? Everything has to be on the cloud. So this is exactly like people are realizing it, and we are taking advantage of it. So yeah,
I was just telling somebody today that the cost of starting a business in India, I think probably halved between 2000 2010, but between 2010 to 2020, I think it's gone down to less than 5%. I mean, companies don't require any physical infrastructure, so there's no rental deposits required. There is no chairs required, no computers required. In fact, you don't require full-time employees. You don't require an EPBX system, because Exotel, and now you don't need an HRMS. I don't think entrepreneurs have ever had it better than they have it right now. What do you think about that?
absolutely. So because if you see like also globally also like it was happening, because the cost advantage which India had actually. So like the only thing remains, probably you will hire maybe freelancers or part-time people, and probably gig economy as we call it, right? Probably also like kind of shape up because your cost will drastically go down, and so like so it's good and increasing better and better for like kind of SaaS players like us. The adoption of SaaS is much better. So
Yeah,
if you see,
I think the cost of getting to revenue for startups, the amount of investment required to get to revenue has come down so drastically that it's completely redoing how you would look at a seed stage startup, right? I sometimes wonder like, why do people come with a presentation? You can start working. You don't need any money to get
yeah.
going anymore.
So absolutely, like so, like so sometime like Alok from Ixigo, that he kind of probably
Yeah.
tweeted like probably. So now the companies will become much the profitable much before than like they
Yeah.
used to be. So this is absolutely the same way, like because the cost is so low, and and Kredily also like will be profitable like in few months down the line.
Oh
So
wow, few months. That's amazing.
yeah. So that
Wow.
is like so unlike other if probably like even like you and I have been on the other side as well. So 5 years back, like probably a profitability, probably after 5 years you will become profitable, but
Correct.
you don't need to wait so much now because you can become profitable much faster. So
Yeah,
that is
and
happening.
because I think a lot of you are also fixed, long-term fixed cost, which you depreciate over years. That's no longer required.
Yeah, absolutely,
You don't need to
absolutely.
buy chairs. You don't need to buy, there's all this shared economy available. You don't need to even buy a car. You can take a Uber, right? And
Yeah,
just look at the cost of. I mean, so many places the cost has just become so much cheaper.
yeah,
No
and
need to
also,
have a camera in the office. Like you have your smartphone, you're done.
but
Proceed.
perhaps you also need to probably also stay in expensive cities also. Probably go down
True.
to, don't stay in Bombay, don't stay in Bangalore, go down to probably your hometowns, and people are doing that, right? So
In
like
fact, in the US, I was just reading a report, to your point, Dave, that many people are actually moving out of San Francisco. They're moving out of New York and saying, like, why don't I go live in Texas? Because I'll get more space. Because now high-speed internet is available everywhere, right? And third, some of these states, like India, we don't have this thing, but many of the states in the US have local income taxes. So, the state of
correct.
California has its own income tax,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Texas does not. So, you're seeing an
Yeah.
entire exodus from these expensive places to live to smaller cities, right, or to cheaper states. I don't. The day may not be far where tomorrow Kanpur could be a place where founders want to go and set up companies instead of coming to Bombay.
Absolutely. It's already happening. Like, if you see a lot of early stage companies now, like, if you talk to like, a lot of, you must be obviously talking to a lot of people as well. So, like, don't need to come to Bangalore. Like, the people are starting up from Dharamshala or Kanpur
Yeah.
or Indore or like small places. Like, Indore is obviously a little bigger. But yeah, get the point. Like, small places is kind of will be winning. I'm a small town guy myself. So probably I
Achha.
would go back to my hometown. Ujjain. I come from Ujjain. I'm a small town guy. So yeah, living like peacefully in a small city, but absolutely be able to remain connected with your team and with everybody around. Yeah.
So, how did you handle the pandemic? How big was your team when we got hit by the lockdown?
So we were about like 25 people in the lockdown,
Achha.
and for us actually it's been absolutely like seamless kind of switch over because uh, yeah. So one of the things like about Credit, like we never had a field sales team because we were
Achha.
completely doing inside sales. So yeah, so this is a lovely team we
That's
have.
really good.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we were sitting in this office in Bangalore, and everybody was sitting only in the same office. There was no field team at all. So even
Achha.
for Bangalore customers, we used to handle everything from the office. So we are an inside sales driven organization where and first of all the product is DIY, and so you just need to have a kind of like company can do it by themselves. And if they need a support, then obviously we have inside sales and support team which can kind of help them. So when everybody like went home to their, I mean, like switched to the pandemic happened. And in fact, we even before the lockdown was announced, like we kind of stopped going to office like even 2 3 weeks
Achha.
prior to that. So and because we thought like it's not going to affect, so it's been a streamlined journey for us. And initially also, like I think probably you would also hear this thing most from the founders, their productivity actually increased by
Yeah.
going starting from work from home. Because you was saving a lot of time in traveling and like having like kind of relaxed time as well with your family as well. So it's been a kind of
I
good
think also the stress of the commute, right? Like Sometimes just the commute itself would take so much out of you, and now you're sitting at home and you're like 5 minutes you go from work from home mode to work mode.
Yeah,
So
absolutely, absolutely. Especially the big cities like Bombay, Bangalore, and Bangalore obviously traffic. So it's no need to be stressed with the traffic anymore. Yeah.
so we have a question from a LinkedIn user. I'll take it with you. What are the barriers to entry for the competitors of for Kredily from his competitors?
Yeah. So it's a kind of like so there's a kind of secret sauce I should not be revealing to you. but having said that, like perhaps like see, as I told you, like this first of all, this industry is not a winners take all market. There's a space for lot many, like at least 5-10 big players to exist, because as I told you, right, less than 10% of this industry is penetrated so far. So there's a big opportunity for, like a lot of players, like to come and kind of start it. uh, the kind of one of the things like that is the product first approach, basically. So what the approach which you have taken in Kredily is like, uh, first of all, like in building the Kredily, like we didn't hire anybody from the HRMS industry, so that, like we could start this thing with a completely fresh approach, because nobody has built this product like for before in India like this. So that way, kind of like the approach. The building a right product actually, and once you have a good product, that remains a kind of barrier. So somebody has to figure out a right product, and then probably that takes time. So we took about 2 years to get it right, and obviously we have now head start now. So yeah.
Yeah, and I also think the amount of traction you have, that also probably is a bit of a moat that you've created. I think about 5,000 SMBs are already on the platform, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, absolutely. 5,000 SMBs we have. We have about 200,000 odd employees on the platform, 2 lakh employees on the platform. So we are already one of the, like I think top 4 or 5 largest HRMS company in India already, and we just
Yeah.
not got started. So yeah.
And so I think you recently launched something, but before that, before we come there, you've also raised some money in between, and you raised some money in the lockdown. So tell us a little bit about this experience. Like, I mean, why did you
So
need the money, and then how did you raise it?
so lockdown, like the first month, like for a couple of months were challenging initially, because like people really were in shock what to do now. So everything like was shut. Like the discussion which we were having with the investors, like everything was got shut. Like, okay, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to, like and the investors who were not yet committed, like they were kind of focusing on salvaging their own portfolio, because everybody's portfolio was bleeding. Uh, so that initially first 2-3 months were challenging, but then people saw, kind of like what is the kind of benefit of a HRMS product, right? Basically, because this is the view, and 2-3 months people understood, hey, this is going to stay. The cloud adoption is going to has happened already. So people are going to need this software. So then people got convinced, and then, like people came about, and the investment happens. So
Wow.
there's
And what was that feeling like? I know you raised the money pretty quick and hot, but where do you see yourself go with this money? How many SMBs are you going to have before you have to get another round?
so we as I told you, like so once you become profitable, you have infinite runway anyway.
So true. So true. Infinite profitability is equal to infinite runway. That is so true. But
Yeah.
but rather, maybe let me phrase my question even better. That what was the goal of this fundraising round? What were you trying to achieve?
So we were trying to, like get to about, like to about like 10,000 SMBs actually,
Achha.
and to about like about 500,000 users. Yeah, so that's the goal. So we already, like 40% of that. So yeah,
Okay.
we should
Wow.
be pretty soon
And
as well.
and, and now tell us about this. So I think this cred pay. That's what you've recently launched. I think there is something exciting going on. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So basically, like you see, like the problem statement which I was mentioning earlier, that uh, you like probably your accountant or somebody has done kind of salary processing, like this is like you have like 30 employee list, and one employee has to be like 25,000 rupees or 25,600 rupees, and so on and so forth. All the list is there, and then there is a Excel sheets actually is there, like you have to kind of have the bank account numbers and everything together, right? Now you have to send this Excel sheet. First of all, it is a CSV file, so most banks still follow the CSV format, which is
Yeah.
so prone to error. Like you have to send this Excel sheet to your bank, and then bank will eventually remit the transfer the money. to the your employee's salary, which is like such a painful process. And towards the end of the month, the bankers will be like bombarded with so many requests. Hey, please process my salary today. And and these companies, hey sir, they will be facing a challenge, because if the salaries get delayed, as I told you, it's a kind of like a no for any company, right? So this was a real problem actually. And then when we introduced this product, and so first we did the integration with kind of ICICI to be able to offer salary payment seamlessly to your seamlessly through the ICICI bank account. So then next, and that was a good success. So we already done like about 100 crores of transaction on that already. And then we launched this thing, and then people really so people who did not have ICICI bank account, or rather CredPay in a nutshell, I would say, you can transfer money from any current account or your any bank account to any bank account. So that is the solution. So basically, all you need to do is just transfer the money to our virtual account, which will give it to you. And from that account, you can do your salary payout, which is the first thing. You can do your expense payout. You can do your reimbursement. Everything you can do. So the HR don't have to kind of run around to the CEO. Sir, please make the payment to this guy. Please make the reimbursement to this guy. Because HR have the calculation power. They don't have the kind of salary payout power. So we are empowering the HRs to eventually make the salary payout by themselves. So once the kind of total amount is kind of fed into the system through the bank transfer, and then HRs are empowered to make the salary payment and expense payment by themselves anytime in the month, instead of waiting for month end to do the salary expense payment. So this is kind of like empowering the HRs to kind of take salary control payment in their own hand. Yeah.
Wow. And how do people sign up? How can somebody, if an entrepreneur wants to join and save HRMS costs and save all of this stuff, how can he sign up?
Just go to Kredily.com and just fill up your basic company information, and that's it. It will be get started. And you will come on the dashboard, and within 5 minutes you can just add your employee information. All you need to do actually is the name of the employees, and then either the phone number or the email ID, so that we can invite the employees to come on the Kredily platform, and then everything's automated. So in 5 minutes we will pre-configure the rules for you automatically based on your kind of company size or requirement. We automatically pre-configure. For example, somebody needed 10 to 5 shift, or somebody needs 9 to 5 shift, or somebody needs 10 to 6 shift. Based on the sizing and also based on the past data we have, we kind of smartly kind of customize those rules for those organizations. And so all the companies need to do, hey, this settings look okay to me. I just need to click OK. That's all, and it is done. So Kredily is like set up and forget.
That's the free version, or that's the pro version?
Free and pro version is the same thing. The setup is the same. Only the pro version is the features are more. The features are more advanced. Probably the expense management which we offer in the pro plan, and we offer more flexibility on the number of salary structures. In the free plan we have 2 salary structures, but in pro plan we have unlimited salary structures. And in the free plan, we don't have the option of GPS, the selfie-based attendance in the free plan. In the pro plan, we have this option, because obviously it requires kind of the Google APIs integration, which obviously costs money. So,
and what is your usual in your 5,000 odd customers? Is there a 8 to 10% spread that is paying, and same as you were saying earlier, or how does the spread work?
Yeah, so typically like this. So we have a little higher percentage of paying, because people are used to actually paying. Because they feel, for HRMS I have to pay. So the conversion actually is higher than I actually expected.
So crystal gazing, where do you see Kredily in the next 5 years?
5 years, we will be the de facto HRMS company in India, and also growing our footprints in the global market.
Wow, you're looking to go outside of India too.
Yeah, of course.
There you might find a lot more. Over there, the cost is probably what is 16,000 in India could be $1,600 outside India.
Absolutely. So, obviously, a lot of research reports are coming out. In fact, recently also, India has the opportunity to build kind of a global SaaS powerhouse. India can become the global SaaS powerhouse. So we have a bunch of players in different segments, but HRMS still there is no one. So Kredily has an opportunity to become the global powerhouse for global SMBs, world class HRMS for the SMBs, and then right from India. So that's where I.
Before we go into the rapid fire, I wanted to talk a little bit about what you do for fun, because you're besides doing all the the VC to entrepreneur journey, you also love riding bikes,
Yeah.
scaling Himalayan peaks. So tell us a little bit about how you got into these two hobbies.
So I have been a very outdoorsy person from very beginning. So I always loved adventure, and Himalayas obviously is my favorite place to go. So that kind of helps me obviously
So did
stay.
you ride your bike all the way before you started the trek, or was that a different?
These are two separate trips actually. So one obviously started from Delhi to Chandigarh, and so this is actually from the one trip. So first time when I want to go to Ladakh on a bike trip, and that time if you remember 2000, I think 2010, 2010 the calamity happened in Ladakh. That's the cloud burst happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there actually that time could not go there. So we thought what to do next because everybody is prepared. So a couple of these two people there out there, they quit the job to this trip.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And so then we went to the Spiti Valley. So Spiti Valley is equally beautiful. It's very very nice. Lahore Spiti Valley, just in the Himachal Pradesh. So that was a
Yeah.
bike trip.
By the way, if someone wants to reach out to you, Dave, what's the best way to reach out to you?
You can write to me. My email is Devendra Devndra at Kredily.com. You can write to me. I'm available to talk.
Perfect. So guys, if you guys have any further questions, we have Devendra for another 10 minutes. I'm gonna go take him through rapid fire. And if you have any questions, we'll probably take them at the end of rapid fire. But it's been a great conversation so far, Dave. I mean, you find a
Thanks.
lot of people who went from entrepreneur to investor. It's very rare to see someone to go banker, VC, and then founder, right? It seems like it's always the opposite way. uh, and you've seen it all. So, a really interesting conversation. I'm so glad to have you on today. But the
Thanks.
next thing, as you know, we've got this rapid fire thing. I've got about 10, 11 questions for you. I'm going to shoot them for you, and whatever first comes to mind, please go
Sure.
ahead and answer that. Are you ready for rapid fire?
Sure. Go ahead. Shoot it.
Cool. The first question: the one thing that you know to be true, but very few people agree with you on it.
Uh, then with no experience, you can build a startup without
With
without
no,
any kind yeah. So without any kind of prior experience, you can build a great company.
so, one piece of advice to founders about fundraising.
Keep trying fundraising. Keep trying because the market is quite big. So probably somebody turns you down. Don't get disappointed at all because just like entrepreneurship, right? Not everybody has the same idea, right? Not everybody has the same conviction, right? So similarly also VC funds also because not everybody might have the same conviction, but there will be some VC fund who might have the same conviction as you. So you just need to find out that guy. So just keep trying. So you'll find to reach to that guy. So don't get disappointed and keep trying.
So I'll give you two options, right? As a startup, what two basic models. Which one would you choose for your startup? Scaling before you're profitable, or first get profitable then start scaling?
So we were close to become a profitable or I would say rather find a correct product market fit, then scale up.
Okay.
Premature product market fit and scaling up will eventually backfire. You can have probably millions of funds raised, but you still don't have active users. Then probably it will come to a naught sometime.
So next question, Dave. Who is your favorite superhero?
Favorite superhero? Actually, there is a one person I actually really admire the most, and he is not a superhero and not very known person as well. His name is Jadav Paing. Uh,
Fine.
Jadav Paing, JADAV He's a Assamese. So this guy has single-handedly created 100 acres of forest. So now, not 100 acres, it was initially 100 acres, now it's a 1,500 acres of forest, single-handedly.
Wow.
That would be actually MS Dhoni.
MS
I
Dhoni.
yes, I really like the way he thinks. Now yeah.
What would you like to learn from him?
So the way kind of he is the way he remains calm in all the circumstances and while people can see him very calm, but in his mind probably he's thinking about thousand scenarios and eventually probably kind of executing what is the right thing for the problem. So I think that way probably I would like to learn more from him, how you can remain calm and be able to execute as well despite a lot of immense pressure around you.
So, Captain Dhoni, if you're listening in and you've got a little bit of time, please, you've got somebody who would love to talk to you and understand how you can stay captain cool under pressure. So please, if you're listening in, definitely reach out to Devendra, and that will be something that we will also love to see. Uh, Devendra, when do you get your best work done? Morning or night?
Night person. I'm a night person.
Night person. I think all
Yeah.
the engineers seem to be working best at night.
Yes. Most of you end up doing like night late nighters and all, like night outs and also probably that kind of stays with you for a long period of time.
One thing you would like to change about the Indian startup ecosystem?
The respect to founders. The Indian startup ecosystem still doesn't respect the founders enough. Uh, because like and failure is like kind of people because you will see like more failures by just by the simple math. 90% people will fail, but you don't see the respect like somebody's failed, so people don't respect the person enough. Like so people need to change the mindset, because the person who has failed like probably learned 10,000 things actually, more than like what probably somebody sitting in a job would do.
According to you, what is one thing investors should bring to the table other than money?
The bit of like kind of insights and operations and bit of empathy, because sorry, I said three things, but I would probably like say empathy probably more than this actually, because like people, the most VCs still don't understand. Like fortunately I have good VCs with me, but like also because I'm part of this ecosystem for a while. So like when things go really tough, right? People, you need that kind of empathy with the founders, like how can you like turn around things, right? So that way you would need that kind of support from the VCs as well.
Three books you would recommend to founders. First three books that come to mind.
So first is like uh, uh, this uh, this book, like which Steve Jobs also recommended, like the autobiography of a yogi. So
Okay.
this is not a like startup book, but it's kind of like a spiritual book, but kind of really helps you remain grounded and like about like help you broaden your horizon. Like there are a lot of things which you don't understand, and they exist. So this thing like kind of top of my list. And then I'm not a like avid reader, so I don't have a kind of long list of books. But yeah, second book would be Hard Things About
Hard things.
yeah. So that's kind of like two books I would love to recommend to people.
Any blog that you're reading right now or following right now?
So like SaaS blogs, a lot of SaaS blogs I do follow actually. That kind of helps. Yeah.
So with that, Dave, we are at the end of rapid fire. I think we had some very, very interesting, insightful answers. I don't think there's ever been a rapid fire that was this long and where we actually got deeply into the answers. Because and I can definitely see uh, that that every single answer is very carefully weighed. There's a whole story behind every answer that you've got. You can definitely see that.
Yeah, I
But
forgot the rapid fire. Yeah.
Dave, thank you so much for joining us today. I didn't even realize we've been together for 75 minutes
Oh
live,
my.
and
Yeah,
because the
great.
conversation was the conversation seems it could have gone on for much longer time. But any final thoughts, any closing thoughts before we call it a night?
So I think like there is a big opportunity out there in India, like and there are good products to be built, uh, made in India and for the world. So this is what we are trying to do, and so people should like and maybe advise as well, like because the opportunity is quite big actually, and just like keep following your conviction, and the results will come sooner than later.
And I'll remind everybody again. There's Dave's gone ahead. The team has gone ahead and given 6 months free on the pro plan. All you got to do is go to Kredily.com and sign up for the pro plan, which has all these amazing selfie check-in features and things like that. And all you got to do is use the code show me the money or the money talks, and you get 6 months free. So with that, thank you so much, Dave. Really enjoyed this conversation. Episode
Absolutely.
24 will be remembered for a very long time. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you so much. Thank you.